Hello guys, and welcome to ORKtober. Like many other people on the internet, I'm going to dedicate October to greenskins and various projects related to them. I'm going to set myself some challenges during this month. First of all, the main challenge is to finish all my orcs, which is what is on this table. There's some sprues, some new stuff, there's some Forge World stuff, and some built stuff. I want that finished. I also want to get back into terrain crafting, and what better way to get into terrain crafting again than with an orc project, right? So some of these things are straightforward, like these squig hog riders. There are no options, there's no anything. They just need to be put together and painted. So that will be straightforward. And the same thing with the Defcopters I have here. So I'm going to be working on those first. I have some looters and some burners here to bulk out some minimum squads I already have. These will be straightforward as well. This will just be painting. All of the stuff I've mentioned so far will probably just be B-roll in whatever video. Probably this one. Maybe. This guy just needs to be painted. More Defcopters. Then there's the new orc boys. My plan is to do... So there's two identical set of sprues here. My plan is to do one set stock, so I have those sculpts. But I have so many boys that I don't really need anymore. But what I don't have are commandos. So my thinking is this is going to be a commando squad with the help of all my various Orky bits and non-Orky bits. They might borrow some from other factions, who knows. I'll see if I can make that work. It might not be exactly one sprue because they're not running shooters except if they're special shooters. So maybe I won't do a set of stock boys. We'll see. So yeah, there's that. Then there are some Forge World projects. So specifically there's this Ork super cannon, which can either be mounted as an emplacement, if I could hit the thing, or comes with a thing here, and you can supposed to mount it as a big old gun truck. I don't need to do much to make this work, so I'm gonna make it work with both. And then there's this special character from Forge World, which is a Big Mac Buzzcob, and his little work crew here have a task list and his banner, I suppose. Yep, so there's that. And speaking of things that no longer work, this was just a 9th edition. I haven't checked the 10th edition index yet, and I don't even want to adapt things for the index because then the codex comes and even more stuff doesn't work. But this is stuff that, like, there's no longer any war tracks. You can't have this weapon option on a Stormborn knob. The Wag banner that fell off right here, it has to have a very specific weapon. And you know, a knob can't have a custom shooter anymore or a combi shooter. Like, there's just... You know what? This is just gonna go in the collection as is. Maybe in 12th edition it will work again because they come out with a new kit or make up their minds on stuff. Alright, this is not gonna be a negative video. This is gonna be an Orky video where I'm gonna focus on getting my stuff done. So I've already set myself a bit of a challenge to finish all this stuff. And I don't want to rush through it for the sake of rushing through it. I'm gonna take my time and do it properly. And what I'm going to do is paint it to the new standard, or new standard is just an extra layer of highlight, or actually a replacement layer of highlight. I'm gonna redo the blood effects, or do the new ones with the new blood effects, with the blood for the blood god. And of course the new ones are gonna be on the new larger bases, because they keep changing the bases. What I would ideally love to do is go through my entire collection and rebase them, do the highlight, do the blood, and a couple of other touch-ups, such as, let's just take this for example. I'm doing it kind of a grimdark style, but I think it needs a little bit more pop in the colors and the armor plates and various effects on lenses and stuff. I want to get them up to a higher quality. But I don't think I'll reach this step during ORKtober. It will probably be a bonus thing after ORKtober. Because, as I mentioned, I really want to get back into terrain crafting. And while I could probably squeeze all the other stuff in, this is also more interesting to watch. Not that that is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for views or anything. I'm doing this for myself, but as part of this challenge, I would like to make at least one tiny proof of concept building. Proof of concept of what? Well, there is the Citadel stuff. And yes, it may be super overly detailed, but what it does is that it fits the level of detail of the model, right? This is a bad example, but could be a realistic example. This is an old thing, it's an old piece of packaging foam that I thought I'd turn into a manufactorum, and it's obviously been chipped and damaged. And I might still use this in the future, right? But as cool as this is, and as big and stuff, it's hard to keep it in frame here. It just doesn't fit the style just yet because of the level of detail. It's like you don't know what scale this is. I think I can fix this, but this won't be for ORKtober. It's just to illustrate custom homemade terrain often ends up looking like this. I have other examples, but this just, you know, let's say this is the spectrum from this to this. I would love to be closer to this with custom terrain than this, realizing that I won't be able to get here. But put it in another way, if I put down my terrain on a table full of Citadel terrain, I don't want it to look out of place. So that's a challenge for myself. I don't know if I can achieve it, but that's the goal I'm heading towards. And if I fail, you will probably still see that result and realize why I'm not a terrain crafting channel. But if I don't set goals, I won't reach them, right? There's actually a couple of different things I would love to make. I don't know how long I need to schedule for it. I don't know how long all of this will take, but as soon as this camera stops recording now, I'm probably gonna set up a time lapse, and then I'm gonna start working on something. So to clear the plate, so I can get closer to doing other stuff. But in short, I'm really looking forward to doing all this stuff, even if my orc army currently has no purpose. Just finding all this stuff, putting it together, there's so many things. I want to add units to my army, even though I don't play, you know, it's just that orky feel. I'm hyped. Let's get crafting. I've glued everything now. I made some modifications to pretty much everything, tiny things for various reasons. I drilled the exhausts and barrels, of course. Well, I'm starting to do that on my orcs. Actually, this elastic band can go now. It was just to decrease the seam line. But yeah, I replaced all the pilot heads with just generic ones because you don't see them that much, and because I want to use the other heads for conversions. And also I've stolen some of the weapon arms because I want to use them for conversions too, so yeah, same here. And he got the rotor blades with just 2. It was supposed to be 4, but you know, you can fly with 2. Just look at old Huey helicopters from Vietnam. Reason for that was so that I could put it on. I was missing a set of rotor blades for an old one that I got in a trade, so he's getting the other one. So I drilled out the hole too much, so I had to fill it in with a sprue tap, and now I'm gonna drill a new hole, but it's just gonna end up being a little bit more detail. That way everyone has a set of rotor blades. Then I also made some small conversions on each of these. Mostly head swaps. For these squig hog riders, it's actually the regular orc heads were too small, so I had to use knob heads. Knob heads. But they fit pretty much seamlessly, even though it's a weird sort of shape to place it on. Yeah, so this guy got this helmet. And all the Gretchen were just boring generic Gretchen heads. So I gave them a little bit more character, I hope. This guy with the crazy expression to match his crazy weapons and posture. This guy, another knob head on there. Looks pretty good, I think. I'm debating if I should cut off the top knot and face it in the direction of movement, but then the skull isn't facing in the direction of movement, so I opted to leave it. I could just cut it off and put a different top knot on there altogether. I have loads of heads with top knots, so I might do that. And again, the Gretchen head, I swapped him out for one that gives some direction of movement, so yeah, maybe I should to match those up, and also the expression, and I think this works way better. I'll do something off camera with this, you'll see it later. And then finally, I opted not to use the Gretchen that came with this. I also toyed with having this guy sit on here or something, but I'm gonna use him for something else, I think. I had one of these from a Stormboys kit. This is how he looks normally, and he has a jump pack. So he had a hole here in his back. I filled that out with just a piece of sprue like this, chopped off a little bit, and I shaped it a little bit and glued it on there so he doesn't have a hole in his back. I'll probably do some green stuff or something just to blend it a little bit. It's not gonna matter all that much, because what I'm gonna have him do is that he's sort of attached by the chain, kinda, but falling off, and I've matched his expression with a surprised look so that he's falling off this wild ride. That's the idea anyway. As you saw, I also sorted loads of bits. This is basically my commando bits box now. This is for terrain stuff and also various other things. And during the time lapse, I discovered that I had 8 sets of legs, which means I can make 8 more orcs. So I picked out some parts that I really want to use for conversions. I think it'll be a separate video what I'm gonna do with these 8 legs. Some of them will probably just be regular boys, or weapon options, or special weapons. But I got some other ideas for conversions here. Maybe a mech, maybe a pain boy, weird boy. That'll be maybe a shorter video. Got loads of ideas for orc terrain projects, sorting through some of my various bits that I'm gonna augment the terrain build with. So I did the last few modifications. I'm about to go prime it once the glue has set a little bit. So I put my Forge World stuff on bases. Added some cork to get more points of contact. I didn't want it to pin him. Added some 25mm bases to these guys, even though some of them seem ridiculous, but yeah, just for the sake of consistency. Did some modifications to this and the mount. Took some more sprue, round bits of the sprue. Some of these are longer than others, to act as sort of a pin. I didn't want to magnetize it and whatnot, so that it doesn't fall off. It's still a little flimsy, but I might come back to it at a later date and magnetize it. While I'm waiting for the glue to set, I might try and smooth out some of these seam lines, and then I'll go prime it. And then I think it's gonna be it for this video. I'm off to a great start. I'm inspired. I got almost all of the stuff built. I have 28 orcs of various size to build. And while I was waiting for the primer to dry, I started applying some base coats on these guys. Alright, here it all is. Primed, ready for paint. Anyway, take care guys. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far.